Hi, I'm Eric from Simply Elegant Home Cooking. Today I'm going to show you a delicious Spanish tapas dish. We're going to be doing Pinchos Morunos, which is a pork skewer, very popular in the southern region of Spain, in the Andalusia region of Spain. Although that part of the world is heavily influenced by Moorish culture, this is actually going to combine some Spanish flavors with some Moroccan and North African flavors. It's delicious, easy to put together, but I don't want to overtalk it, so let's jump right in. So we're going to pack some amazing and complex flavor into this dish by using a blend of spices from both North Africa as well as Spain. What I'm going to use today, starting from the left, I have obviously my salt and pepper shakers, but I also have hot Spanish paprika, cloves, oregano, roasted cumin, roasted coriander, turmeric, cinnamon, Spanish saffron, and nutmeg. And I'm going to have the exact proportion of all those bottled spices in the description box below, but you can definitely customize this recipe. You can change those proportions or even leave a spice out if you don't like it or don't have it. In addition to the ground spices, I'm also going to use some garlic. So I have 3 cloves here. I've started by mincing this up ahead of time to speed this along, but I'm going to mash this up into a paste in my mortar and pestle. Okay, and I continued to work that garlic for a minute off camera just to get that nice and pasty in its format. Now, my oregano is not ground, that was in leaf format, so I'm going to add that in too. And I'm also going to add in that Spanish saffron. You can see I'm just using a little pinch there. I know this is very expensive, so you can either use a little or just omit it if you don't have it. And now I'll continue to work that with the mortar and pestle. And this is just going to help break that oregano and that saffron up to really let those flavors permeate into the dish. Next, we can add in all of those pre-ground spices. Again, check the description for those amounts. And next, I'm going to add the juice of 1/2 lemon that I just freshly squeezed. And I'm also going to add in about 1/8 of a cup of a Spanish extra virgin olive oil. Now, once you have everything in here, you want to just work this a little bit. Obviously, those ground spices, you don't really need to worry about them so much. We just mainly want to get everything scraped up off the walls of our mortar and pestle. You can see this is coming together nicely, and my kitchen already smells amazing from this blend of spices. And once you get that nice and mixed, you just want to give, this is a good time to give it just a little taste. So we go in and see, does it need more salt and pepper? Is there anything you'd like to add? This is absolutely perfect, so I'm going to leave it, but you can make adjustments at this stage. So next we want to cut our pork into bite-sized pieces. Now I'm using a pork loin, but this recipe would work equally well with other meats such as chicken, lamb, probably beef as well, but this is the most traditional. So this is about 1 pound. You can easily scale this recipe to feed a bigger crowd, but the way I cut this, I'm going to start by cutting it in half just so it's easier to work with, and then cutting it in half lengthwise. And then once that pork is in quarters, you just want to cut it in big bite-sized pieces. You want to leave these fairly big so they don't burn up on the grill and get overly cooked and dried out. I've had some very bad pork dishes in my life, and it's usually having them overcooked is the reason why. So this will help avoid that. So I'll just continue with the rest. And there's not an exact science to this, but that 1 pound pork loin yielded 23 really nice sized pieces. Okay, and we're now ready to add our pork to our marinade. Just a quick note, I know not everybody is going to go through the trouble of using a mortar and pestle, but that really does get you a really nice consistency there. So that's why we took that extra step, that extra level of refinement in our cooking. But now we can go ahead and add our pieces of pork to the marinade. Okay, and you can use a spoon if you prefer. I actually took my spoon out. I'm going to use my hands, which I've just washed. This is the best way to mix this all up. You want to mix it nice and make sure every bit of that pork is coated in the marinade. Okay, so most of the work, most of the cooking is actually out of the way for our delicious Pinchos Morunos recipe, but we want to allow enough time for all those spices and flavors to really permeate deep into the meat. So it's very important we marinate this for at least a couple hours. You want to go a minimum of 2 hours, but you can even do this as much as overnight. So I'm going to put some plastic wrap over top and pop this in the fridge, and we'll check back in a few hours when we're ready to cook this up. Okay, so it's been about 3 hours. I had the pork cubes just chilling in the refrigerator, marinating. You can see these have taken on the color of those spices, mainly from that turmeric and the saffron. But now, at this point, we can cook them one of two ways. We can either use the grill or a cast iron skillet. I'm going to use the grill today. So I have that firing up, and while that comes up to temperature, while those coals heat up, I'm going to put these onto the skewers. And if you're using wood skewers like I am, it's a good idea to let those soak in some water for about 10 or 15 minutes. That'll prevent them from burning on the grill. But this process is really simple. We just want to poke a skewer through, and I actually like to use two. That'll give us more stability on the grill, so we can just load them up just like that. So I'm going to continue with the rest of the pork. Okay, and that's how your Pinchos Morunos should look once you get them loaded up on those skewers. Now we just need to wait a couple more minutes for our grill to get super hot. Okay, and now that grill is nice and hot. I have the coals on one side, which is going to give us even more intense direct heat. And at this point, we can go on with our skewers. And that's what you want to hear. You want to hear it sizzle the moment it hits. Now these won't take long. We're going to let them go for about 4 to 5 minutes per side. So a couple minutes in, we'll give these a flip. Okay, and we're about 9 minutes in. I have turned these several times throughout the process. These look perfect, so I'm going to take them off. Okay, so here's the completed dish. Pinchos Morunos, a Spanish pork skewer heavily influenced by North African flavors. So let's dig in and give it a try. So what makes that so good, the complexity of that spice blend, giving that a couple hours to marinate and really permeate deep into that pork, it really gives this amazing flavor. And because we cut the pork pieces very, very big, they got nice char on the outside, but it didn't overcook. Those are nice and moist and tender on the inside. I really hope you enjoyed this dish. I hope you subscribe. We're going to be doing a lot more recipes like this, so be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Eric from Simply Elegant Home Cooking, and I'll see you again really soon.